2524, 2525, 2526, 2527, 2528, 2529, 2530, 2531, 2532, 2533, 2534, 2535, 2536, 2537, 2538, 2539, 2540, 2541. Senator Andiba, Anambra South.
Mr. President, most distinguished colleagues, Mr. President, my name is Senator Andiba, representing Anambra South Senatorial Zone. Mr. President, I rise at this special occasion to move that the votes and proceedings of Thursday, 8th of June 2017 be adopted. I so move.
Senator Rose Oko, Cross River North.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Rose Oko, Cross River North. I rise to second the motion that the votes and proceedings of Thursday, 8th of June 2017 be adopted as amended.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the votes and proceedings of Thursday, 8 June 2017 be approved as amended, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Votes and proceedings of Thursday, 8 June 2017 is hereby approved. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished and respected colleagues, the only order of the day is the valedictory session of the Senate to mark the end of the second anniversary of the 8th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished senators, before I move my main motion, I will move a motion to suspend our Order 17 floor privileges to admit our invited guests into the Senate chamber. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I move that this Senate do suspend Order 17 of our standing rules to admit our invited guests into the Senate chamber. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion as moved by the leader that this Senate do suspend our extended rule Order 17 to admit the distinguished guests into the Senate chambers. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of this motion of us suspending our rules 17 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Silent Mams.
distinguished senators, please take your seat. The distinguished senators, please take your seats.
Don't call anybody's name today.
No.
By 11:30, they will cut it off.
The distinguished senators, please take your seat. The distinguished senators, please take your seat. Photographer, please taking pictures. Photographers, please stop taking pictures. Photographers, please stop taking pictures. The distinguished senators, please take your seat. The distinguished senators, please take your seat. I know today is a happy day. The distinguished senators, please take your seat. Photographer, that is. The distinguished senators, please take your seat. The distinguished senators, please take your seat. The distinguished senators, please take your seat.
Call their names now because it's waiting. Start calling their names.
Okay. The distinguished senator, Shehu, please take your seat. Please take your seat. The distinguished senators, please take your seat. Senator Dino, please go back to your seat. Photographer, please stop taking pictures. The distinguished senator, please take your seats. I know today is a happy day. The distinguished senators, please take your seats. Mr. President, the Senate is now ready for today's proceedings. It is a happy day for us today. Thanks.
Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, may I now move my main motion that the Senate do now begin the valedictory session to mark the end of the second anniversary of the 8th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Senate leader that the Senate down do commence the validity session to mark the beginning of the second stanza of the Senate after 2 years. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that we do begin the validity session to mark the end of the second anniversary of the 8th Senate. Those in favor of this motion say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, our invited guests, ladies and I am immensely pleased to welcome you to this special session on the second anniversary of the 8th Senate. Distinguished colleagues, our invited guests, a historic day for many reasons. First of all, today marks the celebration of our deliberate democracy, an immense opportunity to be part of an enduring legacy of political tolerance, engagement, participation, and commitment. We're 2 years on this saddle, and it's been 2 years of productive lawmaking period. While acknowledging the great work of our predecessors had done before us, let me put on record that this current Senate has made progress in every front and therefore deserve to mark this day as a special day. When we started, I knew the 8th Senate was going to be significantly different and effective. I saw across the aisle a passionate, energetic set of leaders made of stern stuff and a desire to make the difference. Though we inherited a legacy that created in some minds cynicism and despondency, we're undeterred, irrespective of an unending barrage of violent attacks and unprovoked aggression. The 8th Senate marched on with its focus on its main responsibility, which is to make laws for the peace and good governance of the Federation. This we have done together, erasing records and setting new ones. Today, the 8th Senate has passed 96 bills in just 2 years, eclipsing the highest ever in the history of the National Assembly, a record held by the 5th Senate after passing 65 bills within the same period of time. In the 8th Senate is not just about the number of bills passed, but more importantly, the impact of these bills. This is why we have paid more attention to laws that will give our people opportunity to prosper and create jobs. I sincerely congratulate every one of you for putting in the shift to ensure we pass these bills. We have taken on the toughest bills and challenges affecting our unity, welfare, and security of our people, and the necessary platform for a greater Nigeria economy. From the Nigerian Railway Bill, to the Public Procurement Bill Act Amendment, to the Nigerian Ports and Harbour Bill, to the Nigerian Road Authority Bill, to Inland Waterway Bill, Competition and Consumer Protection Bill, Secure Transaction Immovable Assets Bill, Independent Warehouse Regulatory Bill, Bankruptcy and Insolvency, Electronic Transactions Bill, and these and many more have been the highest compendium of economic reforms ever undertaken by any administration in the history of our country. We are taking it one by one. We are laying the foundation for a new Nigeria economy to emerge, one that is empowering the private sector and that is liberal. On the issue of improving the lawmaking process, we have not been afraid to push the boundaries of convention. That is why the 8th Senate can be credited as having initiated the first ever National Assembly joint public hearing on the budget. The 8th Senate broke the 12-year jinx on the PIB by passing the Petroleum Industrial Governance Bill. The 8th Senate record another first as became the first Senate to unveil and pursue a self-developing economic reform agenda to aid the ease of doing business in Nigeria. We committed ourselves to open our budget to the world. We have done that. We promised to pass these economic reform bills. We have fulfilled that promise we made. Distinguished colleagues, our invited guests today, it can be said that the 8th Senate has led the way in terms of open government and transparency. Aside opening our books to the public, we have also opened the work we do to the world by being the first to adopt live streaming of plenaries and deliberations globally. We have engaged the civil society and the wide Nigerian public in almost every lawmaking activity of the 8th Senate. Indeed, we have become the most open arm of government in the history of Nigeria to date. Let me, at this junction, thank all of you, my wonderful colleagues, for the exemplary and unflinching support you have given me and the entire leadership of the Senate so far. Every one of you deserves to be singled out and acknowledged individually for a remarkable commitment and oneness of spirit. I thank you most especially for the sacrifices and your perseverance that this Senate succeed thus far. One of the cause of our successes has been the foundation of a peaceful lawmaking environment, one that we have played less of divisive politics, but we have dedicated our time to what is most useful to all Nigerians. We have looked at laws not from what part of the country we come from, or what religion we worship, or what language you speak. This has enabled us to focus more on what is good for our people. I commend you for your maturity, your patriotism, and your statesmanship in this respect. Today, we can be rest assured that we have made it a while and taken action that will take initiatives that have started to endure and bloom. From the Made in Nigeria initiative to the infrastructure renewal framework, I am confident that we have laid a new foundation for the Nigerian economy for the better part of the 21st century. But I cannot fail to mention in particular the support and partnership I've enjoyed from my ever amiable, dependable Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekeremadu, Ikoandegu. One, our Senate leader, Senator Ahmed Lawa, for his immeasurable industrial and broad-mindedness and the impact he has made in a short period of time. Our minority leader, the uncommon Senator, Godswill Akpabio, and the entire leadership of the Senate. I thank you all for your bipartisanship, vision, patriotism, and solidarity. I want to especially thank the committees that have worked hard day and night to get us where we are with our bills today. I want to especially also thank the Senate Committee on Ethics and Petitions, who have for the first time really given hope to the voiceless, who have given hope for the weak, who have been a place for a lot of Nigerians to come to seek support. Over the last 2 years, this committee has rolled out their sleeves and processed over 72 petitions forwarded to them. This is the highest number ever by any National Assembly committee in our history. Distinguished colleagues, as we are encouraged by this action of the Ethics Committee, it is my view as we look forward to the next 2 years that we also look at the possibility of ensuring that in our fight and our support in the fight against corruption, that we also empower a Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption to begin to receive petitions as well on corrupt practices from any part of this country. And we dedicate a day every week to debate those reports and take necessary actions. I believe this will go very well in us strengthening the fight against corruption. Distinguished colleagues, it has been a rough journey. We have remained undaunted. Together we have walked through the turbulence in the last 2 years and shown that determination and courage of conviction, we can get the job done. I'm here to tell you that your sacrifices have not been in vain. Your steadfastness has paid dividend, and if we keep it at it, we'll be delivering very soon to Nigerian people a holistic legislative reform package that will see us enter a new era of prosperity. Distinguished colleagues, we have done well so far because we have stayed committed and dedicated to the promise we made Nigerians. Distinguished colleagues, even though we congratulate ourselves, there's still a lot of work yet to be done. We will continue to focus on the economy. We will complete the passage of remaining bills of the PIB. We will complete the pending anti-corruption bills outstanding, and we will complete the constitutional amendment work that is outstanding. We will continue to work with the executive on a major issue in resolving the power issue in this country, and work with the monetary regulations and stakeholders in the financial industry to see how we can create jobs and also bring out the cost of borrowing in our country. I would like to end this address by appealing to every Nigerian citizen to be patient with the current administration of the President Buhari, the government in general. This government is sincerely disposed to turning things around, but in a much enduring manner. Let us pray to God to grant our President full recovery and give him the fortitude to continue to pilot the affairs of the state in the vision he has started with. As for us in the Senate, we are firmly and fully committed to his leadership and will continue to do all in our power to support and give him all the encouragement to lead us into a strong, united, and more virile nation. Let me also use this opportunity to thank the Vice President, Acting President, Professor Shibaju, for continuing to support Mr. President. Together with the executive, this Senate is committed to continue to support our government and our Nigerian people. We will not relent in our commitment to the enthronement of the strong and resilient Nigerian economy, capable of ensuring the welfare and protection of every Nigerian, irrespective of ethnic, political affiliation, sex, or religious creed. Distinguished colleagues, you have made us proud. You have done your best, and the country, wherever they appreciate what you have done, because the facts speak for itself. The records are there for us to see. And I want to thank you all for giving us this support, despite the distractions, to lead this great Senate where we are today, and for us going forward over the next 2 years. I thank you, my great colleagues. May God bless Nigeria. Thank you so much. Leader of the Senate, Deputy Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, former presiding officers here present. Let me recognize the beautiful wife of the Senate President, the chairman of APC, chairman BOT of PDP, our former clerk of National Assembly, the president clerk, the deputy clerk, and all very distinguished ladies and gentlemen here present. Your Excellency, as we mark 2 years of the 8th Senate, let me say that this is the first time in the history of this Senate we are marking the half term of any particular Senate. And the reason is quite obvious. This 8th Senate is like no other Senate. As we mark the second anniversary of the 8th Senate, let me also use this opportunity to place on record that on the 6th of June 2017, which was just last Tuesday, also marked my 10 years as a presiding officer in this Senate, for which we need to thank God. That would have been possible without the support, encouragement, and desire of all of you here seated. So I have so much to thank God and thank all of you. I just recall an incident a few weeks ago. I did a particular favor to someone. So he sent me a text. So I opened the text. There was nothing written on it. So I now called him. I said, you sent me a text, but the message didn't come. He said yes, that he didn't know what to tell me. It was short of words. He was only telling me that he couldn't find an appropriate word or words to thank me. So today I find myself in the same circumstance where I'm indeed short of words to thank all of you collectively and individually. On the 9th of June 2015, about this time, we also assembled here, and the unexpected happened. We are here then to elect the Senate President and Deputy Senate President. There were about 74 of us here. Out of that 74, 49 were PDP, and 59 were APC. Because one had died, one APC senator had died prior to the swearing in. And so when the vote was cast for the Deputy Senate President, I scored 54 votes, and one of our colleagues who contested with me, Senator Dume, had 20 votes. Remember I said we had 49 PDP senators. The implication, therefore, is that people voted across party lines and desired to determine who will be their presiding officers. That is the character of the Senate we are seeing today. and I want to tell how grateful I am. And that support did not end. Thereafter, Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, to recall that we arraigned for forgery of our own rules, even when nobody said we did so in the proof of evidence that was submitted before the court. You stood behind us at all material time. Our constituents came from everywhere. The civil society stood by us. So a day like this, we must say thank you to all of you. And of course, for the Senate President, his trial and prosecution had continued to this day. But you stood with him. And at some point, he decided that we will never be distracted, and insisted that even while his trial was going on, that I should ensure that the Senate will sit and continue our assignments while he faces ordeal. So I want to thank you, Mr. Senate President, for being a patriotic Nigerian. We've shared so many things, we've helped each other across party and ethnic divides. I recall just recently, I was sitting in my office. One of our colleagues came to my office, not from PDP, not from Southeast. He told me that he was requested by an agency to bring 2 names for employment, that I should just give him those 2 names. And I know definitely he must have people pressuring him. But he decided to ask me to give him 2 names. I eventually did, and those people were employed. So that again is the character of this Senate. People who don't bother where you come from, they don't care the party you belong, will help each other. In 2010, when my father died, half of the Senate were there. And in 2015, when I had my Thanksgiving, the Senate President led again half of the Senate to my village. That again is the type of Senate you are witnessing. These are people who are determined to show leadership, patriotism, comradeship, that had helped to hold our country together. So we cannot thank you enough. We just say, may glory be unto God. Mr. Senate President, I recall too all that you've gone through this period. But I think the thanks must go to your family, who had endured the absence of this period. I've been to her severally. I can't imagine the meeting with you and your family sitting together and having either breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So we must apologize to your dear wife and your children, because the circumstances we found ourselves denied you and denied them the companionship of a family. But we believe that these too shall pass and it will triumph. So we want to encourage you to continue to show leadership, to show patriotism. This was a Senate that started on a very rancorous note, but we were able to weed us together into a decorous note. So today, we sing with one voice and we walk towards the same direction. We have shown leadership, we have shown brotherhood, we've shown that indeed a deep thinker. And in my personal relations with you, I found you not only as a brother, a friend, and an ally, but one that's also dependable too. During my last birthday, I had so many places to go. We were also in Niger State. And I told you I was going to spend an evening with the ordinary people in my constituency. And you said that my people are also your people that will join us. And you did. When you eventually got to that evening, you were obviously tired, but stayed with us all through that night. In fact, at some point I was begging you to go home and sleep. And I believe that I speak for everybody that you can do this, and have done this for every other senator. Because the next day, you left from Maiduguri to attend the function of one of us. So we're deeply proud of you. I want to assure you that we'll continue to show you our support and solidarity. As I said, I'm short of words, so I cannot continue to proceed at this point. Short of words. So, distinguished colleagues, on a final note, I'd like to thank our distinguished colleagues for their support and solidarity, for their patriotism. I think they've made a good case for a bicameral parliament. They've also made a case for a bipartisan parliament. They've shown that this country can be united and focused no matter where we come from and no matter the party we belong. So we can only thank God for this Senate that is as focused as it is. And our prayer is that we remain things can only get better as we proceed. So I join the Senate President in thanking our colleagues, thanking the civil society, thanking our families and our constituents for their support all these 2 years. May God bless Nigeria.
And just before I call the leader, I know that the Deputy Senate President did recognize our former presiding officers that are here, but I also want to recognize them, particularly recognize our father who is here, Dr. Joseph Wires, who recognize him there, and also, of course, I recognize former IM Deputy Professor Ayu. We recognize it, and of course, my chairman of the party, I recognize it, and of course, I have to recognize my wife, otherwise I will end up just being here in this chamber. I won't have anywhere to go. So I recognize that too. I know the others, leaders and ministers are on our colleague who we sent on youth service to Kebbi State. We recognize, I know for the minister we also sent on youth service to the Executive Council. I recognize all the other former clerks who are here too. Former clerks of the Senate, I recognize you, and everybody here, I recognize you. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Very distinguished and respected colleagues. The Senate President has finally established the protocol, and with your permission, sir, I want to adopt that protocol wholeheartedly. Very distinguished colleagues, today is a day of thanksgiving. Today is a day of reflection. Today is a day of agenda setting for the next 2 years for the Senate. Let me start by thanking the Almighty God for making it possible for us to be in the Senate, in the 8th Senate, and to last for the last 2 years. Our constituents played the most important role of voting us into the Senate. And they continue to play that role of showing understanding, giving support and advice, cooperation and partnership in our activities here. And they deserve commendation. And in fact, Nigerians deserve commendation for supporting this Senate and indeed the National Assembly. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, let me also say that today is some 4 days or 5 days after 18 years of the legislature consecutively existed. This is the first time that the legislature existed for this long period in Nigeria. And we are grateful to God for allowing that to happen. And we are looking forward to longer years. In fact, for our government, all the arms to continue to exist forever and ever. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, our invited guests, the essence of today's special session is for us to reflect on what we have been able to achieve in the last 2 years. And the Senate President in his address has enumerated so much that we have done. I believe that we have, one, been quite supportive of this administration in the area of fighting insurgency and terrorism. We have been supportive of our administration in the area of fighting corruption by passing very important bills that will help the fight against corruption, both within this country and overseas. The mutual assistance bill that we passed 3 weeks ago is a case in example. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, just like the Senate President said, we have passed so many bills that will support the revitalization and recovery of our economy. And of course, the ease of doing business has been a focus of this Senate. Only last week, there was a roundtable of the NAS Business Environment Roundtable meeting presided over by the Senate President. These are efforts to ensure that we revive our economy, that we provide a climate where citizens can do and engage in lawful businesses in safe environment. I also believe, Mr. President, that we have seen and witnessed how cooperation, how understanding, how partnership between the two arms of government, particularly the National Assembly, the legislature, and the executive, can yield very positive results. In this respect, I want to urge that the executive should work with us to ensure that everything, any policy, any program, any project that we have as an administration has the support of our legislature. We are enablers. We are facilitators. We don't build roads, but when roads are constructed, the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing may take some credit, but I think the credit goes to the legislature for providing the funds and, of course, providing the legislations. When INEC conducts very good, free and fair elections, INEC takes credit, but I think the legislature deserves credit as well for amending the Electoral Act, for constitutional amendments to make things, the Electoral Act processes better. When our judiciary is supported, I believe that that helps the ordinary man in ensuring that he continues to have faith and confidence in the judicial process. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the legislature is the misunderstood arm of government. We need to do much more to let our citizens understand what we are supposed to do. Sometimes legislators are judged based on the roads they have constructed. That is not our work. What we are supposed to do is what we do here. That we legislate, that we appropriate and give funds for government to be able to construct roads. But it is up to us to enlighten and educate Nigerians, our citizens, that this is who we are, not what someone else says who we are. We are what we do, and we are what we don't do, not what someone else says we are. I believe that this is a task that we must continue to do, because whatever we do here, however much we perform, if someone remains ill-informed or uninformed, then the tendency is for that person to write us off. I believe that this Senate has come a long way, having united itself, has achieved so much, and we want to thank everyone here, especially being the only, maybe the youngest member of the leadership, having been in the leadership for only 5 months. I want to thank my colleagues in the APC caucus, and I want to thank my colleagues in the PDP caucus for remaining quite supportive of this Senate and indeed this administration. We are in it all together because we are one administration, we are one government. We want to be associated, we want to be identified with the positive performance of our administration. God bless for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President of the Senate, My
Timing. Go ahead.
My distinguished colleagues, Your Excellencies, most especially the chairman of the ruling party, the APC, Governor Oyegun, as well as the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the largest party in Africa, the PDP. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me join my two leaders who had earlier spoken to salute the Senate for the wonderful job done in the last 2 years. The Deputy Senate President has spoken that yes, indeed, the Senate has remained bipartisan from the inception, particularly when he was voted in as Deputy Senate President, and were just 49 senators from the flank of the minorities. But he had about 54 votes. And out of the fact that we had 59, and we're about 74 in number. And then I also want to congratulate the Senate President, who was elected unopposed, because on that very day he was the sole candidate, and there was no need for voting. Congratulations, Your Excellency, the Senate President. I must congratulate my family, the PDP family, for not showing any greed.
At all.
Because if you had shown greed on that day, you would have produced the Senate President.
It would have been over.
You would have produced the Senate President. I recall when one of you came to me and said, look at the chambers. We doubled the APC members. Let us nominate somebody for the office of the Senate President. And then I cautioned. I said, no, let's not do that. Let's not do that, because the APC has come with a mantra of change. And if we produce the Senate President, they will turn all the blame on us if things go wrong. That they wanted to do change, but look at these people. They took the
Address the chair. Look at my face.
So today, 2 years down the line, I can see my colleagues have agreed that we were right in not going for the office of the Senate President. Otherwise, we would not have been there, so congratulations. But today, I must say that I agree with the two leaders that in spite of the teething problems we started with, your leadership argument has welded us together. Despite the challenges we've had in the last 2 years, despite all distractions, I can say, sir, with all modesty, that I believe that the more challenges you have, the more your leadership prowess shines. And that is why I say congratulations to you. Sometimes I wonder how you do it. We all pray for you and pray for ourselves that despite what we are going through, none of us should die through heart attack. But I assure you that yes, indeed, darkness cannot last forever. The light will shine at the end of the tunnel. But speaking on a national note, I must thank the PDP senators and also thank my colleagues in the APC for bipartisan demonstration of leadership. In these chambers, we have never discussed issues on tribal, on ethnic, on religious, or party affiliation manner. We have always been very bipartisan, and it surprises me. Some people have had to ask me and said, why are you people not, showing opposition? And I explained to them that yes, in the last government of PDP for about 16 years, we used to have very tiny opposition. Sometimes maybe 12 senators, and sometimes 8, and then 96 will be PDP. So there was really no opposition. And so the few of them will make noise. I don't believe in making noise. That we came here determined to focus on national issues and to ensure constructive criticisms. Yes. What we have done in the last 2 years, my dear colleagues, some of them are very cerebral. And you know that, even looking behind me, you can see Sekibo, you can see Barabas, or Jimmy and others. They are very cerebral. Yes. What we have done had always been that whenever a bill or a motion or any request came from the government, we try to panel beat it to make it work for the benefit of Nigeria.
Your mic.
Mr. President, I appeal that this mic should stay for a while. So we had always tried to panel beat everything to ensure that we took out the ingredients that would better the lot of all Nigerians. But on a very serious note, I must say that there's still a lot to be done. Yes, we've come a long way in 2 years. We've been able to focus on so many national issues. When you mention about 96 bills, and the highest ever done by any Senate in the past, in 2 years, I think they recorded 65, and we recorded about 96. We will do more. We are very prepared to do more. But I think it's not just the laws that matter, not the resolutions. I believe strongly that implementation will be the best. I think it is time now for us to advise, now that the leaders are here, from the national leader of APC to the national leader of the PDP and other political parties and our past leaders, that if we can implement most of the guidelines and suggestions and the laws from this place, I believe Nigeria will get out of recession. And for those of you who may not understand what has gone on here, we took cognizance of the fact that Nigeria is a country in recession. And we also are mindful of the fact that when a country is at war, all hands must be on deck to save that country. And that is the reason why we have remained the way we have been. It is not that we could not have made noise. Each time the government says we want $1 billion, we say, take. Whatever you can do to save us so that this country will not collapse, go ahead. And on the PDP part, I thank you, I congratulate you, because you told me once in a meeting that anything we can do to make the APC government to succeed, we should do so. Yes. That their failure will be the failure of Nigeria. Very correct. And that what country are we going to bequeath to our children? Yes. That we must make sure, even if they don't want to succeed, we should make them to succeed. Yes. That has been the determination. So I thank all of my colleagues. Correct. And just to say that, Mr. President, whilst you were speaking, we also forgot to mention that this is the first time a strong innovation has been brought into the budgeting process in this country. For the first time, this Senate introduced a novel idea of holding public hearing to ensure that Nigerians participate in the budgeting process of their country, so that we can best capture the feelings and the yearnings and aspirations of the rural communities and grassroots. And I want to wish us a very, very happy second anniversary, and pray that the President of the country, Alhaji Muhammadu Buhari, will recover very soon and come back to continue. We are all praying for him, and also remind the leaders that what we've always believed in is that after election, we have a country to run. And that country means that the President of the country is not the President of APC any longer. He's not the President of PDP, not the President of ABGA or ABDA that has just been formed, but President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And this Senate, once we are sworn in, become the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So sometimes when we take issues here, do not look at it as if we are opposing issues. No, we are doing so in the best interest of all Nigerians. And we believe that the President also, and all the leadership, the ministers are here, should also take cognizance of every part of this country. So any program of government, whether it is N power or Y power, whatever we are doing in this country should avail itself to all Nigerians, so that we do not create insecurity in other parts of the country. But let me also use this opportunity, sir, to congratulate the security services. When we came in, there was a lot of uncertainty in respect of insurgency. But with the determination of the armed forces, you can see today you may have sporadic, very cowardly attacks here and there, but they have done exceedingly well. And for that, I congratulate the armed forces, and I also pray that the leadership of the country will see the need to empower us, and so that we can empower our others. And then let me tell you, my first time in the Senate, my colleagues gave me the opportunity to be the Senate Minority Leader. Shouldn't I thank you? I should thank you for that, because it is very uncommon. And when I came in here and I saw the caliber of personages here, I knew that it was going to be an uncommon Senate.
Yes,
am I right or wrong?
You are right.
And for the first time, you elected a Deputy Senate President.
You are right.
A Deputy Senate President for another Mr. Chair. Mr. Senate President. For the first time, we elected you.
Yes.
Because we did not nominate the other person. We brought you out as Senate President, and then we elected a capable hand who had experience for 8 years to support you as Deputy Senate President, Ikoha. And that is from another political party. So you can see the admixture that have brought about stability in the Senate. We did not start well, but today we are very stabilized. I'm quoting from Senator Lawan. We are one Senate now, focusing on one Nigeria. And I think that admixture is good for democracy. And my colleagues brought me here, and look at them, so experienced, so cerebral, and then the APC side is them. I knew something was going to happen. We're about to have an uncommon Senate with uncommon achievements, because we have brought out uncommon leadership. I thank you for this opportunity.
Senator Gamade.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Barabas. I represent Benue Northeast Senatorial District. Mr. President, let me greet all our guests today that have come in from far and wide to be with us on a memorable day like this. Past leaders, presiding officers of the Senate, current leaders of our political parties, past clerks of the Senate, and all the guests that are here with us. Let me also congratulate you, Mr. President, the leaders of the Senate, and indeed my colleagues who have clocked 2 years in the 8th Assembly. No doubt this is a very memorable day, and the leaders of the Senate have spoken, and they have variously indicated how far we have gone. I need not therefore go into any scorecard of the performance of this Assembly. But let me point out that indeed the 8th Senate is unique. When we came in, it was a bundle of misconception and misunderstanding, obviously arising from the fact that there was initial rancorous kind of atmosphere. Today, we are a very solid assembly, working together to ensure that we support the executive branch of this government to bring about all the changes that they require to bring to Nigeria, a country that was needing change so critically in many aspects of our life. Indeed, today we see a unique Senate which is made up of highly experienced members of parliament and also very young, intelligent, and vibrant people who have just come into parliament for the first time. Obviously, this mix needed to be harmonized properly so that it can function. And the initial inauguration of this assembly did not give us an opportunity for an early harmonization. But today, due to the efforts that have been put out by leadership, represented by the Senate President, and indeed the followership represented by all of us, we have been able to achieve a tremendous pace in harmonization to a point where all the talents of experience and the talents of vibrant spirit by the younger members is being put together for the progress of this assembly. We therefore have a lot to congratulate ourselves, not only because we have passed so many bills, but because we have been a symbol of progress for this nation. And I believe that the forthcoming second half of this assembly will give us an opportunity to consolidate what we have achieved so far and continue to build harmony and unity among us, and also to impact positively on the executive branch of government. In 1999, when we came in, Parliament was very green because there were so many years of military administration. And the legislature is the first institution to be killed when the military take over. Whereas the executive branch continues to have governors, ministers, and indeed the president and vice president. Experience keeps building. But for us, we started to build proper experience from 1999. And today we can safely say that we have built parliamentary experience to a point where we can all be very proud in this nation of Nigeria. Suffice it to say, therefore, even though the parties that are parents today have been very shaky in the past 2 years, because of this experience that has been built up, we have not allowed that to permeate into Parliament to destroy the working spirit that we needed to employ to ensure that we succeed here. And this is why, Mr. President, you can present such a wonderful scorecard of the 8th Senate. May I therefore join you and my entire colleagues as we congratulate ourselves for this wonderful doing and showing, and look forward, therefore, for another 2 years of very successful experience. I thank you for this opportunity.
Senator Thompson, Sekibo, Rivers East.
Mr. Senior President, my distinguished colleagues, I thank you for this great opportunity you've given to me to make few comments on our 2 years in this current Senate. Mr. President, if there is any time to celebrate about heroes of democracy, I think today is the day. Today is the day because democracy is the cornerstone of the legislature is the cornerstone of the democratic governance we are practicing today. So if we are assessing ourselves, it means we are also assessing the institution on which democracy itself is built on. So I salute, first of all, the founding fathers of our democracy, especially this political dispensation, those who have worked hard, formulated the political parties, and brought whatever we have to be. I salute even the past military government, especially the one that handed over to Obasanjo, our first president in this dispensation, because they have done very well. Having said this, Mr. President, I want to salute you. When you came to the Senate in the last Senate, and then I heard you want to become Senate President, I was shocked. I said, how can you just come from the executive? And then you want to come and be a legislator, not just a legislator, you want to lead those who are legislators from the executive. We watch you, well, it didn't push further. Then in the second tenure, you came out fully. And those of us who are your friends in PDP, knowing that you are ours, you are the same. There's no difference between us and you.
Your mic, Senator Sekibo. Your mic is malfunctioning.
Yes, Mr. President. And then we stood by you, as it has been said by previous speakers. But after you won the election, the level of persecution that followed you was what alarmed me. As I speak now, I have never seen on your face a trace of persecution. Every day passing, either we join you to that tribunal or we see you coming in, you are smiling and you are not distracted. You are the captain of this vessel. Yes. The day you are distracted, they say something. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. So the intention is actually to scatter this sheep here. But because you are a good shepherd, you refuse to be distracted. You were really focused. And that is why today we are praising ourselves. If you are distracted, when those turbulences we are going through, as a captain of this flight, how could we have done? We will not reach where we are today. So I want to salute you, and I want to thank you for that doggedness, that focus you brought in. In thanking you, I will extend my thanks to your father. Somebody must have trained you and put you on the path of leadership. Yes. Otherwise, if you are not trained on the part of leadership, and then there is a little turbulence, you fall by the wayside, and then the ship will scatter. But he did not do so. But I want to say something. If there is no challenge to any person, then there wouldn't be any promotion. That is life generally. And that is why challenges are even put before students. At the end of a week or a term, they give them tests. If you pass, you go ahead. You are passing very well. So I believe that you do not regret at all of all those turbulences. See them as part of the life lessons. And I want to encourage the Senate, thank the entire Senate for seeing ourselves as one entity. At the point of this great persecution, there wasn't anything like APC or PDP. There were no other minority parties. We became one Senate, and every person being led by our leader, the Deputy Senate President, we join you to face those persecutions. And I believe it is this oneness as a family that will be able to build ourselves together. So all those persecutions are very good for you. I'm not praying that more should come, but if they come, take it, because they are going to build you more stronger. Well, I want to congratulate my colleagues who are 2 years in the Senate. You know I'm only 1 year today in the Senate. I'm not 2 years. 6 months in the Senate. 6 months in the Senate in December 2015. Enemies of darkness fabricated something, and then I was sent out back to the field. And I came back just this January. Well, I think it is better to be 1 year than outside the Senate. And I'm very happy with all my colleagues for standing behind me when I was in trouble. Because it was not just PDP senators that were standing behind me. This my seat that was allocated to me on that day was preserved for 12 calendar months until I came back and I was made to sit on it again. If you are not a good person, if you are not a good leader, if you are a leader who is selective, you will overstand this seat to somebody else. Because I'm not APC, I am PDP, and I will remain PDP. So you know me very well.
Yes.
Mr. Senate President, you also know that you even preserved my committee for 1 full year, and I came back and they gave to me. How can I thank you? In short, if I knew that we can invite other people to come, I would have called my wife to come with me today to stand by me and thank you. Because it is not an easy thing without hatred, without selection, without discrimination. He just did that for me. And he didn't do it for me. I believe that he did for Nigerians. Because we are doing what we think is the truth. Mr. President, having said this one, I'm also saluting my colleagues. I want to say something. Of course, you know the way I speak. While we are doing very well, please, we must be allowed to continue with that trend. When in every day, at the breaking of the day, DSP's house will be ransacked, and then maybe he will run out to hide himself for 3-4 days. In the next day, they are looking for Duda. The next day, they are looking for our minority leader. The next day, they are looking for Abaribe. The next day, they are looking for this one. We are supporting the government. We are fighting corruption ourselves. And that is why today, I don't know how much you are paying me. My salary has been so slimmed down. I'm macheting. My tummy was bigger before. But we agree with you, even in starvation, we will stand by Nigeria. While we are doing that one, they should allow us to be focused. They should not harass us. We are not fighting any institution. Thank God there are former presiding officers here. On the floor of this Senate, you can get up and talk what you think is wrong, what you think is right. You don't hold a meeting with any person to come and say you're good. You come out and say the way you see it. That does not mean that you are fighting any organ or any arm of government. We are supporting the fight against corruption. We are standing by EFCC. Me, I'm standing by EFCC. We are not fighting them. The police should do their work very well before they keep on harassing. The other day that they harassed the chairman on appropriation, and then the story was everywhere. And it's so funny, sir. So I am thinking that since the chairman of the ruling party is here, sir, please help us and help me take this message back home. We are standing by the APC government. We are doing so because we are in the same vessel. If there is turbulence in the same vessel and you capsize, every person will drown. All Nigerians, either in PDP, in APC, or whatever political party, we are in the same vessel. being led by one captain, and the captain is the president. There is nothing you can do about it. He's the president of this country. He can't do anything. He can only say something is not being done rightly, but he's the president. So I believe that if we know that one, then please allow us to do our work the way it will be done. Mr. President, I want to give one assurance. Because Nigeria is one nation, we believe in one nation and we believe in the unity of this country. I believe that me and even my colleagues, we will stand by administration continuously. Despite any temptation, we stand by you. And then we will stand by the APC-led government. I am saying so because if they fail, Nigeria fail. It is not them. If they fail, we are failing. So we must stand by them and encourage them to fulfill all the promises they gave to the Nigerians during the campaign. Thank you very much and God bless you.
Senator George Akume.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator George Akume Benue, Northwest. Mr. President, may I recognize in a very, very special way the former presiding officers of the Senate. They are here. My father, Joseph Wires, my senior brother, my mentor, Chief Dr. Yocheayu, my brother, Barrister Ayame Bute, my friend Pius Angim, my sister, former Senator and Senator for Life, Aisha and Bagudu, who was always with us here. But above all, I recognize in a very special way my chairman, my senior brother. I bow for you, chairman of the greatest political party in the black world, former governor of Edo State, former federal permanent secretary, Chief Oyegun. I also recognize the two leaders of the PDP, the Bakarafi people and the Sheriff. I recognize Sheriff and all of you. I recognize Your Excellency, my sister, the wife of the Senate President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm a student of history. And in making this contribution, I want to start from the historical perspective. Mr. President, there were those who came before you. The great Zik, the first president of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. After him, Abyssinia, Nwafo Orizo, Joseph Wires, Dr. Joseph Wires, Chivenwerem, late. Chivokadibo, late. Mwabara, Pius Hanging Pius. Dr. Yocheayu.
Senator Akume, you have just 1 minute left.
I'm able to. Mr. President, you have come as a young man. You have seen. You have done your duty to your country. Your father did it as the majority leader of the Senate. Therefore, we never expected you to do less. We are proud of your achievements. The takeoff was turbulent. There is no doubt about it. But you know the capacity of the pilot when he is taking over amidst storm, and in the way he tries to land his plane, his ship. You have done exceedingly well.
Mr. President, the Senate, under your leadership, has chalked up achievements which have been enunciated in your statement, and this has been supported profoundly by those who have spoken before me. I need not to add to that. Mr. President, I want to call the attention of this Senate, under your leadership, that we must pay attention to irredentist movements in this country. I want us to take note of what is going on in this country on the political firmament. Whether we're talking about Biafra, we're talking about Arewa this, we're talking about Bosu boys, we're talking about Western Yoruba irredentist movements and so on. Mr. President, the Senate must rise up as a major pillar of our democracy to make a statement on what is going on today. Mr. President, as a governor in those days, when I was a young man in those days, I was in Jamaica and I sat on the same table with Andrew Young, then ambassador, and he made a comment. We were talking and I invited his attention to his comments when, during the announcement of Abiola's election, there were calls everywhere for separation, particularly from the Southwest. He wrote a letter to Aditoleye, and he cautioned against that. You are greater being one than say you are Oduduwa, you are Arewa, you are this. And honestly, the same drums of war, the same drums of war are at work. Will be failing as a major legislative arm of this government to say something that will reassure the people of this country that our oneness, our unity, our territorial...
Senator Akume, I agree we've gone past 3 minutes. If you can just round up because of time and allow other people to just contribute.
President, I think the direction of my discussion is worth taking note of. Honestly, we are greater being together than going our separate ways. I remember as a small boy what happened to my family in 1968 in Port Harcourt. We lost 4 people in the defense of this country. I think about it. I feel it up till now. They were very, very close to me. Mr. President, I want us to draw some strength from the motto of Jamaica. Out of many, one people, one country. Thank you for your leadership. God bless you. And I thank my sister for standing behind you. God bless the Senate, my colleagues. I love you. I bless you.
Thank you. Senator Dino.
Mr. President, my very respected colleagues, Dino, Melai, Kogi West. Mr. President, you speak the truth, you die. You lie, you die. I have chosen to speak the truth and die. Mr. President, I am happy that the chairman of APC is here. I also congratulate you, sir, for being part of history and celebrating our 2nd year in office. Before I appreciate, by the grace of God, the irremovable President of the Nigerian Senate, I will say that my colleagues, at about this time last 2 years, we were on two separate divides. About this time, 2 years ago, some of us were in this chamber and some took an excursion to the International Conference Center. But today, nobody is in ICC, nobody is in any corner. We are here as one solid, indivisible Nigerian Senate. This is only possible because of the Almighty God, who has been the rock and pillar of this 8th section of the Senate. Mr. President, without fear or favor, I salute your intellectual mobility. I salute your political sagacity. You are a man of style who has brought direction and focus to the political milieu of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Were you not the Senate President of this Republic, I assure you that things will not be as stable as they are today. Many will criticize what I'm saying. Many may not be happy with what I'm saying, either because they do not appreciate the face of Bukola Saraki or because they do not appreciate the progressive moves the Senate is doing. But the truth of the matter is this: Bukola Saraki, you have done very well. And it is recorded in the Celestial that you are a man of sophistication, you are a man of style. And I pray Almighty God will bless you, bless my sister, your only wife, and
Dino, you have your mic, and then you have just 30 seconds.
Mr. President, God will bless your home. A popular adage in Yoruba say, "Ironu igi oni ironu eye." That is to say, for the branch to be stable, then the bed will also be very, very stable. We thank God Almighty, Mr. President. But I want to say that with all our successes enumerated already by my colleagues, it is time for the Nigerian Senate and the Nigerian senators to be bolder than ever, to speak with more confidence than ever in the interests of the Talakawas, of the Mekunus, and the have-nots. We must, as a matter of urgent national importance, hold on to that which is true. The persecution we went through in the first half of these 4 years, Mr. President, should not be entertained in the second half, because Nigerians are they are the ones losing. So I call on you, Mr. Senate President, that in leading us in this second half, please put on your seatbelts. It is dangerous to drive without a seatbelt. Tighten and fasten your seatbelts. Where you need to speak the truth, as senators, as principal officers, we must speak the truth, not minding whose horse is guard. And we must also begin to identify that there is a uniform law in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. No longer shall we allow selective application of the law of the land. What is good for A is good for B. What is good for Abubakar is also good for Nnamdi. Mr. President, we have passed some people on the floor of the Senate. And these people, and we have also disqualified some. Out of those who have disqualified by confirmation have been replaced by Mr. President. That means the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, transparently honest Muhammadu Buhari, recognized the powers of the Senate to confirm. Just 2 weeks ago, Mr. President, I brought to the attention of the Senate
that the DG of Lottery Commission resume office without confirmation of the Senate. I heard in the fashion of the best runner in the world, he ran out of his office. And the executive apologized to us, and he is no longer in office. We also said the confirmation of one ambassadorial nominee was rejected. The president sent another replacement, and we have cleared him. Why is Magu still in office? Mr. President, the truth is the truth. We should not have selective application of the rule of law. One law for everybody. The Senate must not sleep, the Senate must not keep quiet. I may be arrested immediately after this program. The prison is built for people and not for animals. But I am telling you, Mr. President, posterity will not forgive us when we keep silent in the face of lies and persecution. We must, as a Senate, respect this institution. We must, as a Senate, preserve the integrity of this institution. We must not keep quiet when wrongs are going on. Because tomorrow, your child will ask you, when Nigeria was going the wrong way, what did you do? A word is enough for the wise. God bless Nigeria.
Senator Bintamasi.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I stand on the already established protocol.
We must be gender friendly.
And on behalf of all other sisters of mine, to speak with one voice. First and foremost, Mr. President, I stand to appreciate you and all other colleagues of ours for giving us all the necessary support as just this minimal numerical number of women in the Senate. Something happened yesterday, Your Excellency, the Senate President, when 4 ladies went to meet or to speak with the President. And when we are coming back, most of the men were asking, is our Senate President safe? And the question I asked, why did you think he's not safe? That 4 women or 4 female senators went and met him. So it shows that even as women, we have numerical strength. And I just want to appreciate you, Your Excellency, for showing an example that the mother of your children she's always by your side. It shows that indeed all that has been enumerated here on your perseverance in the face of trouble, you have a comforter back home. We want to say thank you, and thank you, Ma, for being a comforter to our President. So when we came in here, I think a lot of us came in with a different notion. But there's one cardinal thing that has binded us together, which obviously has been captured in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I read, we the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, having firmly and solemnly resolved, shows that we came in here, turbulence we met, but we were resolute, we stood our ground, and today we are one big, happy family. We have now collapsed into a Senate that has a focus and a vision to bring about good governance to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And we thank you for such leadership that you have exhibited and you're still exhibiting. And indeed, even when we came in, the PDP were thinking that obviously they are going to get more of APC to their side, while ironically we are getting more of the PDP into our side to the APC. So it shows that the APC is still standing. Change has come and has come to stay for good. Yes, and I know very soon the uncommon senator will surely join the APC for an uncommon change. Sir, I have to digress for just a minute and I will sit. 2015, when we came in here, just like the way all the senators have elaborated. But I told you that there were children of the late father of ours, and I'm one of such child of his. When you sent for me, and you heard I was running for the Senate, you did something you wouldn't know, but it touched my heart, and I saw the Father in you. And when you said, Binta, we will support you for running into the office of the Senate. And that took me back to 1998, when I had an encounter with the late Oloyi. And he said, Binta, don't you think you have to run for the House of Representatives? And I said, sir, I don't think I have the financial muscles to run. And he said, today I have adopted you as a daughter, and I will surely see that you win this election. And after the election of 1999, he called me to Lagos and introduced me to your sister, Gbemi Saraki, and that is how I have been adopted in that family. And when that issue of you being the senator came in, I had to meet the chairman of the party and told him that it's a debt on my shoulder that I need to pay. And if nobody is standing by Bukola Saraki, I, Binta Mercy Garba, will stand, because it is an honor that has been done to me by the family. And if it is that only thing that I have to pay, I will do that. And here we are, every one of us is now clamoring and even expressing your quality as a leader. So I want to indulge and crave the indulgence of our colleagues on 2 or 3 issues on our bills that is before this 8th Senate. The Gender Equality Bill, or the Gender Equity Bill, that is before the Senate. Please, my brothers, we crave your indulgence to give the light to the Gender Equality Bill, or Equity Bill, that is before this chamber. Number 2, sir, want to crave your indulgence again to use your good office to meet with the speakers of 13 state houses of assembly who have not concurred to the passage of the Child's Rights Act bill that we are talking. We have seen the issues that have befallen this nation on the crisis in our hands. And we know that if these children are not given the quality education and the environment for them to assert their talent, then definitely we will have a cause to cry tomorrow. But we pray, and I honestly pray, if I have to kneel down, sir, that we are looking unto you, Bikonu, that you should pass the Gender Equality Bill. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Joe Sani. You have 1 minute.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues and invited guests, this is a moment for us to sing praises to ourselves, but it is not what we say about ourselves that matters. It is what history and posterity say about us. And I believe the history will be kind based on the unprecedented achievement of this 8th Senate. In the words of J.F. Kennedy, in times of domestic crisis, men of goodwill and generosity should be able to come together irrespective of party and politics. And I believe this Senate has been able to work to that. Socrates has made it very clear. Confucius has also made it very clear. And as far as I am concerned, the challenge before this Senate is what we can do to address the very important political, social, and economic issues that confront our country. And for now, this Senate has passed through the first 2 years. The next 2 years will be more challenging. And what is challenging before us is that this country is befaced with cessationist crisis from the southeastern part of Nigeria and a statement from the north by anarchists and ultra-conservative nationalists. This Senate must make a clear statement that the unity of this country is uncompromisable, and we are determined to remain one, and we must remain one. And the last note, I think we should know it. A nation united by force is vulnerable. A nation united by justice is impregnable. Thank you very much.
Distinguished colleagues, let me thank all those who have contributed. I think we all agree that this session should end at 12 noon. And I think we would like to see if we can keep to that. I know a lot of you would like to speak, and sure, but because of time and because we want to keep to this. Let me, in my closing remarks, thank all of you for your contribution to the debate. And thank you also for the kind words and words of encouragement. As I said, that we have done 2 years. The second part of the journey, we must now be ready to also take on the issues before us, many of which we have spoken about this morning. As we promised, led by the DSP, we want us to conclude our constitutional amendment exercise so that it can be one of our promises kept again. Secondly, I just added the Senator Usani issue is the issue of our country today. This Senate, its Senate, must stand clearly and act clearly to defend that there's just one Nigeria, non-negotiable any division of this country. And we must lead by example. And I want to commend all of us here for the role that we've played in this area. The next 2 years will be more challenging, and we must show leadership and clearly to every part of this country that anybody that toys with that is someone that we will fight and will defend this country and the issue of the unity of this country. Secondly, is also the fight against corruption. As I said, that as we start the second half, we will put in process our own action to ensure that any agency, any MD of government knows that we are on their back to ensure transparency and accountability. And I think we have shown it in the first half by the places that we have put our committees to oversight, that we are not afraid of anybody. We are only ready to defend what is right. And I'm sure that anybody that makes a mistake to try, I believe that if such actions are being carried out anywhere, we will back down, we'll see that we will not. In this area, I want to appeal to all our committees on oversight. We have a role to play in this area to ensure during your oversight visits, we expose anywhere where there are corrupt practices and plug all the leakages. In leading to that also, as we do that, we all need to be also bold and be able to be firm and do what is right and stand for what is the rule of law and the Constitution. This is a point that's very important. I keep on saying that it is the institutions that we must strengthen. We must strengthen these institutions. We must strengthen the Senate. In 2 years' time, we will finish our term. Some might come back, some might not come back. It is not about the individual, it's about the institution. And we need to be responsible and be ready to speak the truth when it does require. There are things that still need to be addressed, no doubt. And I hope that the executive that will continue to extend the hand of friendship will do the right thing in areas or where they must respect this institution. And I hope that we'll seek all your support in doing that which is right. Let me, as we celebrate, at the same time, it brings sadness when you remember one of our brothers, Senator Adeleke, is not here today. May his soul rest in perfect peace. It should have been for him to be here with us. Distinguished colleagues, whatever we can do at all times, remember in prayer and his family, we should do that. And let me now round up to thank all our former presiding officers who played their role, who continue to support us, our family, and all those here. We thank you for being part of this special session. I thank you all. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, before I move the motion for adjournment, let me, on behalf of the leadership and all our distinguished senators, thank our clerk and indeed all the other staff who have made this success possible. The press, you have always been there to tell the world, sometimes in real time, like the channels is doing now, what we have been doing here. We really appreciate that cooperation and support, and we pray that in the next 2 years, the remaining part of our tenure, this relationship will continue to blossom for the betterment of democracy in Nigeria. With these few remarks, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, having concluded the proceedings on the order paper, I move that this Senate stands adjourned till Tuesday, 13th June 2017 at 10 a.m. prompt.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, very distinguished Nigerians and invited guests, just before I second the motion moved by the leader, I'd like to invite the distinguished senators to join me in prayers for my dear wife, who was very sick last year, but today is her birthday, because she's there supporting me. And I also want to congratulate all of you that we should also pray for our wives. I will also join you to pray for your wives and your children and your family members who have been there praying for us day and night while we toil here in the red chambers to promulgate laws that will move this country forward and not our pockets forward. I say the Air Senate is very poised to ensure not just the stability of Nigeria, but to ensure the progress of this country. And thank also the national leaders, in addition, who are here, and also advise that going forward as a government, that we should recognize the fact that the war against corruption cannot be won unless we win the war against poverty, because poverty leads to corruption, and corruption deepens poverty. On that note, I second the motion for adjournment to the 13th day of June 2017 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, just before I put the question, let me just add my voice to thank the management of the Senate, led by the clerk of the Senate, who also started in this 8th Senate, but who has really filled the shoes and done a very good job. And we thank all your supporting staff, the deputy clerk, and everybody who has worked. I want to commend you. I want to commend all those who have made it easy for us to do this work. And particularly also, I would like to commend the Rules and Business Committee, who honestly have taken this load, led by both the chairman, deputy, and committees and the management, because the workload truly has been enormous for them, and they've done well. And of course, men with press, cameramen and women, we thank you for all the support. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate is adjourned to Tuesday, 13 June, 10 a.m. say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned to Tuesday, 13 June, 10 a.m. prompt.